Hey guys, what is going on? We are back on the Tier Maker website, and you know what that means by now, surely, if you've seen any of these before. You know we are ranking something, and you can probably tell by the title and, of course, the thumbnail that we are taking a look at all of the map content in the Vanguard Season 1 update. Unfortunately, we didn't get any new map content with the mid-season update, which is a little unfortunate, but it is what it is here. We are stuck with 19 maps in the game at the moment. We are about 2 weeks out from Season 2, so I figured this is a good time to cover all of the map content and think about what we do actually rate these maps. Just before we do get into it though, make sure you do hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on if you do want to stay up to date with all of the Vanguards and Warzone Season 2 content. We're going to have that right here on the channel, so don't miss out on any of that because there's loads of content coming up. So, as we usually do, we're going to start with a little bit of a tier explanation here. This should be pretty simple. We do have the dumpster tier down the bottom. These are maps that are absolutely terrible in this game. Maps that we do not want to play on for the most part. C, not too bad. B, of course, a little bit higher than that. A, maps that are very, very good, really pushing it to be some of the best maps that we've ever seen. And of course, the goated tier. We do have a couple of goated maps in this game, mostly remakes and stuff like that. But again, we'll talk about that more in just a second here. Alrighty, so starting us off here, we do have Berlin, or I believe this is the Battle of Berlin, I think. Now, I know not really a lot of people do enjoy this map, but I actually think it's not too bad. I think it is a little bit creative with some of the sight lines and stuff that you can get in. There's a couple of different spots where you can sit on this map that are very, very strong. They're not really easily counterable, and you are quite hard to shoot out of those spots. Think like 2-story windows, 3-story windows, and stuff like that. I feel like there's a little bit of creativity with some of the verticality in this map. I actually think it's quite good. I don't think it's one of the best maps in the game. I don't think it's like a super high tier map. But I think it's playable. I think it's pretty fun. It is very big though, and there is a lot of scope. If you're only playing on 6v6 on this thing, it is not very fun at all. It takes a while to find people. But if you are playing on like Assault or you're playing on Blitz, this can be a very, very good time here. So I'm going to put this in the middle. Let's start us off with the big tier. I know a lot of people don't really like this map. They'd probably place it in the dumpster just because it is so big and there's like heaps of hiding spots. But I actually have done quite well on this map for myself, and I think it is a bit of sort of a middle tier map. The next map that we do have on our list here is Bocage, which is basically the French farm style map with the barns, the house farm building kind of thing. Again, there's fairly long lines of sight on this thing, and again, with like Blitz and those larger player game modes, this is a lot of fun. Can be a little hectic here running in and out of corridors. There's like the underground tunnely bit, which is pretty cool, connects like the back half of the map. Again, there's long lines of sight. There's also a bit of close range combat in and out of the barn and in and out of the buildings. I think this is a pretty cool map. Again, not one of my absolute favorites, but again, I feel like there is a little bit of combat for everyone. But again, I feel like we're going to put this in the C tier. Not one of my absolute favorites. I have had some bad times on this map previously, but again, not one of the worst maps that we've ever seen. Next, we do have Castle, which is again a remake of a World at War map. Again, an absolutely fantastic addition to the game. I do think it is one of the larger maps in the game, which is not ideal if you are playing on, again, tactical 6v6 style. It's not one of the most entertaining things because, again, very, very large. It does take a little while to find people sometimes. Typically, I do like to play on Assault or at least Blitz because, I mean, more people means more people to kill, more chance for V2 rockets, in my opinion, which is a lot of fun in this game. Some maps in this game do only play quite well. They actually are a little bit of fun when you do play with more people on them. 6v6 can sometimes feel a little empty. Maps like, of course, the Red Star one. On 6v6, that is absolutely unplayable. It is so, like, absolute snooze fest boring. But if you do play it on like 12v12, you get 16v16 in that map. It is a lot of fun to run around. There's just lots of people to shoot. But again, we'll talk about that more in a second. And Castle is fairly similar in my opinion, being that this is a map from a classic game, like a really good one to bring back. I do think this is probably an A tier map. Probably some people enjoy this a little bit more than me. But again, I do find a lot of enjoyment out of Castle. So we're going to put this in the A tier as a very good map in this game. Now, Das Haus is probably one of the most controversial maps in this game. It is a map where you can have an awful lot of fun. It's actually where I did drop my first V2 rocket, surprisingly. I was just vibing with a BAR class setup. It was really early on. I was just like, oh, yeah, this map's pretty good. This gun's pretty good. Okay, let's get it on. So the Das Haus is a map where you can have a very good time if you are on the right team, you're having a good game, you can have an absolutely ball on this map. But if you are getting spawn trapped, you're getting pinned back in your spawn, there's kill streaks everywhere, it can be an absolute nightmare. So I feel like if you are in the right circumstances, you get a decent game on this thing, it can feel like one of the best maps in the game's history because it's just close, fast-paced action, really good time with lots of people, lots of kills you get. But again, if you do get corner trapped, you do get hit with those kill streaks, you do get spawn trapped, this can feel like one of the worst experiences that we've ever seen. So I don't really know where to rank this thing. It's probably somewhere in the middle here. I don't think it's goated, of course. It's probably between A and B, again, just because it is one of those maps where you can get loads of kills, have such a good time. Probably, I'd say the good outweighs the bad on this map if you are having a good time. So I think we're going to put this at the bottom of the A tier. Decoy is an interesting map in this game for me. I do really like the aesthetic here. I like the vibe with this map. If you don't know this about me already, some of my favorite vibes in video games, my favorite aesthetics, are where you're like the tiny little soldier and everything else is like normal size, but because you're supposed to be that small toy soldier kind of thing, everything appears large and it's a really, really cool aesthetic. I actually get vibes from this in Decoy because everything's like kind of fake, it's like a training ground kind of thing, but I don't actually really like the way this map plays sometimes. You can get caught trying to cross in the middle courtyard and it can feel a little bit unfortunate. Like, it's just not fun sometimes if you are sort of trying to get across from one side to the other. You just get constantly taken out. In the wrong circumstance, you really can just get spawn trapped. One of the sides just has an easy spawn trap and you can just get stuck there. If you are playing on this map and you've had a bad time before, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But again, I do really like the aesthetic here of like the fake sort of training based style thing. Everything's blow upable. Like, you can get really cool lines of sight on this map because pretty much everything is destructible apart from like brick walls. And it does bring back that vibe that I was talking about of like your fake toy soldier kind of map style thing. I would love to see one of those maps in Vanguard, by the way. I know we're going for sort of a little bit more realism here, but that would be one of my absolute favorite things. That's what I want in every Call of Duty game. Anyway, Decoy, I think it's like a C tier map. Again, I have had some pretty good games on this. I've almost dropped a couple of V2 rockets on this map myself, and we couldn't clutch it up. But again, I feel like this is like a C tier map. It's not one of my absolute favorites, but again, I can have good games on this as well. The next map that we do have here is Demyansk. Demyansk. I'm sorry for butchering that name. It's the snow map. It's the snow map in this game, which is not one of my favorite things, but again, I can have good games on this map. I probably feel like it is, again, a little large for 6v6. Can feel a little dull when you are sort of fighting against 6 players. It's pretty dull. You play this on Assault, you play this on Blitz, and you can actually have a very good time on this map. A lot of action, a lot of more combat to get involved in. But again, it's one of those maps where if you do go out into the open at the wrong time, you can just get picked off without even trying to get into a gunfight. People do sit on the outside of the map and just snipe across, and there's not really a lot you can do about that sometimes. If you're rushing around with an SMG or even an assault rifle, you just get picked off by somebody with a sniper. Doesn't feel very fun. So again, this is probably like a C tier map, not one of my absolute favorites, but again, you can have good moments on this map. If you get into the bell tower, you start shooting people, you jump out of the bell tower, you run around in that like church style building. You can get a decent little run going, and I've actually had, again, a couple of V2 rocket attempts on this map. Couldn't clutch it up, but we did get a decent amount of kills sometimes. So I like this map, but it's not one of my absolute favorites, so I'm going to put this in the C tier again. Now, Desert Siege, probably you already know my thoughts on this map. Everybody thinks the same about this map, but I don't think it's very good. I feel like it's just one of those maps where they just sort of missed the mark. Like, obviously the idea is to fight around that central building and try and get like long lines of sight outside of it and try and shoot people from getting into that building. Well, I don't really like it. I don't really think it works for some reason in this game. Like, it's a little bit open. It's fairly large again for 6v6. There are some maps in this game that are just not able to be played on 6v6. You just fall asleep trying to find somebody. I think this is probably one of them here. We're going to put Desert Siege in the dumpster tier, but I think it could also push towards a bottom tier of C. It's just not one of my favorite ones from this year's Call of Duty. Now, Dome, I'm sure many of you feel the same way about Dome. This is an absolute mess, man. It's just so much fun to just have like 12v12 on this map. There's just so many people to shoot. It's chaos. Like, this is one of the maps where you can just have an absolute blast. Again, V2 rocket attempts on this map. I've had some good runs on this. Couldn't clutch it up again. But I mean, Dome is just such a fun map to run around on. This is why they keep bringing it back. Whenever this appears in a Call of Duty game, you just know it's going to be... You just know it's an absolute sick time. It's just going to be so much fun. So again, I think I'm going to put this in the go-to tier. They keep bringing this back for a reason because it is a lot of fun. It's just a fast, close-paced, action-filled map, and I really do appreciate it. Whenever I see it come up, I love Dome. Next is Eagle's Nest, and again, this is one of my favorite maps in this game as well. Another fast-paced, close-quarters map. You can play this 6v6 and have a fine time. I think that is an acceptable way to play this map. But again, more people, more action, more fun in my opinion. So again, Assault and Blitz variants on this map can just be an absolute riot. You can have so much fun on Eagle's Nest. I really do think this is one of the better maps in the game. So we're actually going to put this at the top of the A tier. I really would not mind seeing Eagle's Nest come back in a future game because I just think the vibe's right. I think it is a very nice map in this game. Close quarters action, long range action, mid range, like you can do anything on this map and you can have a good time here. So top of the A tier, this is one of the better maps in the game. Next we do have Gavutu here. Now again, this is one of those maps that does play quite badly in 6v6. It's just simply too big for 6v6. If you do get this on Assault, you do get this on Blitz, you can have a decent time here, but again, this is not one of my favorite maps. There is still the area on top of the ship that a lot of people should know about now that you can just sit up there and get easy kills from pretty much any angle. So again, keep an eye on the top of the ship thing, the little tower thing, you can sit in that, keep an eye on that. If somebody is setting up there, you got to take them out before they ruin your game. But again, I really don't I don't dig it too much. I'm actually going to put this in the dumpster tier as well. I do not like Gavutu. It's not one of my absolute favorites. So we're going to put this in the dumpster. A little controversial. Some of you might like this, but again, I don't really like Gavutu. Next, we do have Hotel Royal here, which is again another fast-paced close quarters action map, but I like this a little bit less than I do like Eagle's Nest. I'm not really sure what it is. Probably because there's more layers to this. Like there is the vertical layer as well as like the middle hotel-y bit where there is all of the close quarters fast-paced action going on. But again, I feel like this is still a pretty decent map. I feel like this is like the definition of a B tier. Like I feel like I do have fun in this sometimes. We're actually going to put like Berlin behind this one. I think it's pretty good. I really do like this map most of the time. I can get a decent gameplay on this from time to time. Next, we do have Numa Numa here, which is interesting. I really don't know how I feel about Numa Numa sometimes. Like occasionally I'll just like find myself really not enjoying it, and other times you'll be having a sick game and you'll be having a great time on Numa Numa. It's one of those maps where you can get a bit of everything again, a bit of long range stuff. If you are sitting on top of a palm tree trying to snipe people from across the map, that can be a pretty goofy way to have a fun time. But I mean, it's in the map and that's what it's there for. Like the big bendy S tree, you can stand on top of that and shoot people. It's a lot of fun. Again, there is a little bit of something for everyone here. You get your close quarters action in and out of like the tunnely bit and like the bunkery wooden log style bit, that as well. Pretty good fun to have you had in there. But that's only a small section of the map. There is the artillery turret style bit in the middle of the map, which is not one of my favorite places. I usually stick to the outside of this map, which sometimes you just can't and you have to actually go into the middle. You just get taken out. It's not one of my absolute favorite periods of the game when I do play Numa Numa. But again, I've had a couple of decent streaks on this thing. I've had some good memories here, and I think this is not too bad. I believe I'm going to put this at the top of the C tier because I mean, I like Numa Numa. Can we get it to work? Yeah, I like Numa Numa. So I think I'm going to put Bocage there, Decoy there. Yeah, I think that's okay for the C tier. Then we do have Oasis, and again, this is one of those maps that is a little big for 6v6. I mean, like, they're mostly medium-sized maps in this game, and when you do get in the wrong circumstances, you can be running around for a while trying to find people. Again, there is a bit of long-range combat on the tank side, and again, from, like, the windows across the main area, but it can be a little bit of a struggle sometimes if you are running around with, like, an SMG or an assault rifle to simply get across the courtyard to where you want to be, which is the enemy, like, the opposite side, the enemy building kind of area. It can be a little bit of a struggle. You do usually have to push down like the tank side to be able to get over there, but it can be a bit rough for the most part. So again, I don't really like Oasis, but I've had some good games on it. I don't think it's that bad. So again, I'm going to put this in like the bottom of the C tier. It's like not the worst map I've ever played, but typically I don't go out of my way to sort of have a good time on this. Next, we do have Paradise. And again, this is another one of those maps which is absolutely massive here. If you do get this on like 6v6, 8v8, it can still feel a little small on 8v8, which is not ideal. But again, the more people you get on these maps sometimes, the more fun you're going to have. But I mean, I feel like just because there is that big open corridory bit, like there's just a massive gap in the middle of the map where there's not much cover, there's not really much going on. And if you do try and cross from, say, like the middle area of the map to get to like the underground tunnely bit, you can just get picked off. Like there's just not an awful lot of fun to be had on Paradise. So I'm going to put this at the top of the dumpster. It's like the top of the garbage bit. Like it almost falls out of the dumpster into the bottom of the C tier, but I feel like just because sometimes you just have an absolute snooze fest on this map, it's not very good. Next, we do have Radar, which is an absolute fan favorite map returning from. This is Dome. Like, they couldn't put two maps that were called Dome in the game, and I understand that, so they called this Radar, and it's just a remake of Dome from Modern Warfare 3, which is one of my all-time favorite maps. It's very, very simple with this one. I really do think this is one of the better maps in the game. Like, it's just so fun. Like, you know Dome if you've played this. You know Radar, man. This is just a great map. It's goated. This is one of my favorite maps in this year's Call of Duty. I'd probably put it at the top behind Dome, maybe. Not really sure about the goated tier, if there is any rankings or anything like that. So we'll just leave it as it is for now. But Radar, one of the best maps in the game. Red Star. Red Star's just not very good, is it? Like, even when you get loads of people on this map, it's just, like, really lame. Like, sometimes you just get picked off from, like, the building. Somebody hasn't moved for about 15 minutes. They just snipe. If you are into that, it can feel a little bit like you're playing Sniper Elite, which is kind of cool. If you're into that vibe, that's fine. Like, more power to you if you do enjoy that. You probably see this map and you're like, yes, I get to sit up in the... Oh, it's just such a good time. But I'm like, nah, running around the middle of the courtyard just feels bad. And then if you're not doing that, you either have to snipe or you sit in the buildings, which is like a third of the map, which is just not fun. So I don't like Red Star regardless of how many people are on it. I don't like Red Star. We can put you in the dumpster, buddy. Sorry about that. But maybe like, it's just too open. There's just bad things happening on Red Star most of the time. Where do we put Shipment? Shipment's one of those maps that's like, yes, obviously they keep bringing it back just because it's like a fast-paced, like close quarters action, a lot of fun, a lot of sprinting around, but the incendiary grenade and the fire bombs make this so unplayable for the most part. Like, it just ends up being helmet. Like, there's literally just You can't do anything sometimes. I just gotta put this in like the middle. I don't think about Shipment too much. I don't usually record Shipment for gameplays just because it is a bit of a mess sometimes. You can have a decent game on it from time to time. I think Shipment's okay. It's not one of my favorite maps, but again, it's just one of those maps where you can have a fun time sometimes. Oh, we do have a little bit of a controversial one here. We do have sub-pens. Now, I know a lot of people really hate this map, and it is because there is a lot of long lines of sight. Sometimes you're just running around the outside and you just get taken out. It feels absolutely terrible, but this is the map that I've probably done best on this year for some reason. I don't know why. Like, you'll just get into that spot we've talked about previously near the barrels on the left-hand side. You control the A spawn, and you just get easy V2 rockets. This is my most successful map this year. I think I dropped 3 or 4 V2s on this map just with the BAR, just absolutely stomping on people. I don't know why I like this map so much. In theory, I shouldn't really like it because there is a lot of circumstances where you can just get spawn trapped. You just do the same thing over and over again. You die, and you just do it again. You try and climb up the stairs, you get taken out. You try and climb up the stairs, and you just get taken out. In theory, I really shouldn't like this map just because I do so well on it most of the time. You get into that spot with the BAR, you just have a sick time. I'm going to put this in the A tier. I know it shouldn't be up here because a lot of people don't like sub-pens, but because I've done so well with it, I feel like putting it in the A tier just for me. Just this is my personal list here, and this is just a bit of a goofy selection, but I do really like sub-pens. But I recognize that it probably should be like C or dumpster tier, like somewhere in between these two. It probably should be here, but personally, I really like sub-pens for some reason. And Tuscan, I feel like this is like the most mid map in this game. Like, there is the fiery bit on the left-hand side where everything's on fire and you really can't see. I don't like that bit of the map. I feel like this is just a pretty mid map. Like, it's fine. Like, it's okay. I don't think about it too much. I can get a decent gameplay on Tuscan from time to time, but if it comes up, I'll play it. I'm not too fussed about Tuscan. We'll put this in the middle of the B tier. Probably better than Shipment. Probably worse than Berlin, in my opinion. That's all the maps here, guys. We do have a couple of goated tiers, and it's a pretty good map selection. There's only a couple of bad ones. Paradise could probably escape the dumpster as well, push up into C tier. Red Star's bad. I don't like Desert Star. I don't like Gavutu. But the rest of them, I feel like the map content in this year's game is actually pretty good. Most of the time, you're just going to get maps that you look at and go, yeah, that's alright, I'll play that. Again, thank you very much for watching this one. If you do disagree with this list, make sure you let me know in the comments. I'm sure sub-pens as a selection is going to make most of you upset, but I just love it, man. I love sub-pens. I don't know why. Help me. As I said, and hopefully you do hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on. Pushing us towards 6,000 subscribers would be very, very cool. If you could help me achieve that, I would be massively appreciative. So again, hopefully I will see you in the next one if you do stick around. Bye!